What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. Today, I have, yet again, another amazing guest who I've recently connected with on Facebook and really knows a thing or two about mindset for the entrepreneur to help them make the right decisions, to help them get through some of the bottlenecks that you may be facing when you're growing your brand. So without further ado, I want to introduce Tyson Sharpe to the show. What is going on, Tyson?
How are we, man? Good to be on here.
Awesome, man. Listen, where are you calling from? I know it's kind of early over there today.
It is Melbourne, Australia.
Nice.
5 a.m.
Nice.
Bright and early. It's not even bright yet. It's dark and early.
That's dedication. That's dedication right there. So Tyson, for those folks that don't know who you are, give us an introduction on what you do, how you started doing it, and how you're serving your clients today.
Well, I'm what I call an emotional fitness coach. What I do is basically people who come to me are the ones, basically online entrepreneurs who have all the business tactics, but for some reason they know they're being held back.
So they got the funnel, they got the process, they got all of that, but there's something subconsciously holding them back.
You got it. Yeah, they know it's fear, but they don't know how to follow through on their business goals. They have their set daily tasks, whether it's their direct outreach, whether it's setting up their website, and they can't seem to make those decisions. They can't seem to put one foot in front of the other, and they know that it's got to be something to do with their internal struggles. There's something unconsciously stopping them really moving forward, and that's when they reach out to me. And how I got into this is obviously getting into the world of personal development, understanding that I made huge shifts within myself, and I was obsessed with learning the tools and strategies of how to learn someone else's mind, play with it a little bit so that they can produce a better result. That built the passion within me, and that's how it got started.
That's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you because we need more of you in this world. I feel like there's so much negativity out there, and how do we feed the mind with strength and empowerment and confidence and courage versus all the other nonsense that's out there. I mean, people get so consumed in the what's wrong and how do we fix it and can we fix it and all that nonsense. And I haven't watched the news in probably 2.5 years for the simple fact that it's just all garbage. It's just, I can't get anything positive out of it. And when they do something positive, it's like for 30 seconds, it's gone,
We got very similar issues here in Australia. So
it's like, you got to surround yourself with the right people. You got to surround yourself with, the right information. And so let me ask you a question. Where does, you mentioned fear before. I feel like that is a huge part of why we as human beings don't live to our full potential. And it's got to be interesting to work with clients on your part because every client has a different backstory. So how do you sort of rewire some of the nonsense that's going on in these people's heads to help them get through what it is that they need to get through?
Yeah, it's a good question because everyone does have a unique story. Everyone does have a unique, background on where they think their fear is coming from, right? And from learning what I do, I've done a lot of coaching training, and anyone who's been to Tony Robbins or learned anything from that side of thing, will understand that we only have two primary fears at the very base, at the unconscious. So fear number one is the fear of not being enough at some level, right? Not being pretty enough, smart enough, tall enough, fast enough, rich enough, successful enough, something enough. right? Which relays into the next fear, the deeper fear. If I'm not enough, I won't be loved. Mm-hmm. So it helps to understand that the entrepreneur kind of has the blueprint that to be enough, I need to be successful. And that's why you're sort of what you're touching on before, Henry, is that a lot of people say I need to fix this within me so that I can be successful. If I don't fix this, I won't be rich, I won't be successful, I won't be looked at in a high regard, I won't have this status that I need, that I want, that I desire. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense.
And you'll know a lot of this since you've built your own business and overcome your own things, right? You overcome your own doubts and fears and frustrations. So it really helps to understand that at a different level. And then it helps when I try to understand them and understand their thought processes of why they really feel like they need to be successful, and why do they think they can't be fulfilled now or whole now.
Right.
And then once we start working through that, we start working through their thoughts that they didn't even know they had, thoughts that they thought were reality instead of just thoughts that they were mistakenly thinking was just fact. Then we can really start to uncover why it is they really want to be successful, and then use their strengths, use their passion, their determination, their love, their commitment, so that they can start moving forward in their business based on their internal emotional resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Rather than figuring out how we can beat this fear.
Right. It's funny. One of the things that my mentor, one of my coaches in the past, had told me one day was, he said that, you're looking in the wrong places for validation. And he was like, some of the things that you're looking for, you're looking at clients to validate you, right? Which is the worst position you can be in from a branding standpoint ever. You never so that just, when you put yourself in that sort of position, all of a sudden, you put them in the driver's seat, and if they have all the power, they have all the say. When I operate and run my business, where if it's not a win-win, it's a hell no. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs fall victim of, having clients validating them versus really looking within and saying, dude, I'm the shit. Like, I'm awesome at what I do and I get paid top dollar for it. Like, that's why I do what I do and I charge what I charge, because I believe, like, that confidence just exudes. Like, people saying to themselves, why am I not working with this person yet? Like, why haven't you come into my life sooner?
Yeah.
Like, when's the last time you hired somebody that was like sort of timid and wishy-washy and you got all excited because you hired them?
Yeah.
Right?
That's right. And I'm sure everyone in your community, everyone listening, can hear the certainty in your voice, right? When you say that, when you say I'm the shit,
Listen, I'm going to believe that more than anyone in this entire friggin' planet's going to believe it. And who needs to believe it more than anyone else? Me.
So, yeah.
So right. It's that message that, and I love the fact that you're out there helping people find that voice.
Yes, exactly. That's what my clients come to me, and they're all confused. First of all, that they can't make decisions, or they struggle making decisions. They struggle putting one foot in front of the other when they know what they need to do. They put their goals on their daily planner, their daily lists, and then they find the excuses. They somehow don't get around to doing it. They don't know why. And then at the end, what I really love working is what I call their emotional resourcefulness. It's not finding their solutions out there per se, it's finding them within. And at the end, I hear them saying the same amount of confidence that you have, right? The same amount of certainty, knowing that they can do it, knowing that when they put something on the list, they know it's as good as done.
Yeah.
And they know that they can pull out their determination, their love, their strength, their imagination, whatever resourcefulness can get them to the next level, they know they can pull it out, and they know that they've got more than enough within them to make that happen.
Yeah. And I think that's where we can start to talk about a little bit how much confidence plays a role in strong branding, right? And when I say branding in this sense, I mean the brand's voice, the brand's personality, the brand's positioning, right? As I look at branding, I look at branding as like a human being. I really do. It's an offshoot of who you really are as a person. Who's ever the CEO or founder of that brand, a lot of how it communicates to the audience comes from within them. And if you're working from a place that sounds desperate, sounds wishy-washy, sounds like there's another solution that's better than yours out there, how are you going to establish yourself in the marketplace? How are you going to be able to get on a sales call and turn someone from a prospect to a client, right? These people, I say it all the time, these people want to be led. That's right. You just need to lead them. So I want to get into some of the ways that you help build confidence, because I think Tyson, you do this for a living, and you help these people get unbottlenecked, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
How do you help them increase their confidence? What are some tips that may be right underneath our nose, but we don't apply them, that can help build confidence so that we can feel like we can take on anything? Yeah,
man, it's a good question. And it's case by case sort of understanding, but there are some fundamental strategies, some fundamental understandings that you can pick up that give you more insight in terms of your own brain, especially when you're wanting to build something like confidence, which is what branding does, right? When you put your brand out there and it's looking good, it's feeling good, you feel great. And I'd love to touch in on that. I'd love to get your take on this as well.
Sure.
But for the number one thing I look for and I help someone really uncover is the thoughts that are in their head. And that is because a lot of entrepreneurs who come to me are thinking the same things over and over again. I don't have enough clients. I don't have enough money. I'm broke. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough yet. Right? I don't know enough people. And they're going through the same thoughts, thinking that it's their reality, thinking that it's fact, innocently mistaking that it's fact. And I like to help them gain awareness around their thoughts and recognize that they're just thoughts. Humans will always have positive and negative thoughts flow through their head. But what leads to an emotion, especially a disempowering emotion, is when you believe those thoughts.
Right. So is it true? Is it not true?
Yeah. So if I was to ask you, when you have branding, when you have someone that has an awesome brand, when your brand looks great on your website, in your Facebook group, and you just look at it and you have that emotion, right? What are you making that mean?
What does that mean to me?
Yeah, to you. What does that branding mean to you when you look at it?
That's great. It means a lot. I mean, it means confidence. It means integrity. It means quality. It means investment.
Yeah.
I didn't get the brand that I have today overnight. It took me 10 and a half years to get to where I'm at right now.
Yeah. So the thoughts in your head would be the brand is there and the brand's evolved. It's taken time. I know it's good, right? I know it's the best in the world. I know I'm the best in the world at what I do. This is a representation of who I am. Like all these different thoughts that would lead to the emotion of confidence.
That's right.
It's putting it all in perspective, and you're having the thoughts about that brand that make you feel confident.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I study a lot of personal brands, some very what's the word that I'm looking for? What's the word? Not confrontational, but yeah, maybe confrontational. You know, everyone, you love him or hate him. The Wolf of Wall Street, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Jordan Belfort. Right? The guy is clearly a con artist in all the ways. Every shape and form, right? But the guy did tremendous business. He had a movie made about him. I mean, the guy was high on the hog for many, 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 many years. And now, you know, now he's out there doing coaching and sales coaching and all that stuff. You know, I've had people on my email list write me like vicious emails because I've talked about him in the past on how he exudes the confidence that you need to create that brand that's going to get noticed. And so I get a lot of people like, don't talk about him. There's plenty of other people you could talk about, not him. That guy, you know, destroyed families and lives. And yeah, he did. But look at it from a confident standpoint, from a positioning standpoint. The guy owned his brand. And when he owns it, you own it. Another guy I'm watching right now, there's an A&E special. I don't know if you get A&E in Australia, but it's a network on paid cable television. And there's a series about John Gotti. John Gotti was one of the most powerful mafia bosses back in like the early 80s and 90s. The guy, they called him the Teflon Don because he used to beat all the court cases that came up on him, you know, against them. And the guy just couldn't be shaken. And the government tried to take him down so many different times, and you couldn't get him, right? But so there's this little mini documentary, and it's about him, and his son is actually one of the narrators of the show. And he talks about John Gotti died in 90 or early 2000s, I forgot, but he died in jail. He died of cancer. But one of the things that is really fascinating about this particular individual and this particular personal brand is that when he walked in the room, you could hear a mouse piss on cotton. It got quiet. All the attention was directed to him.
Yeah.
And this guy just demanded and commanded a presence.
Wow.
And some of it was respect. Some of it was fear. Because if you cross the guy, you could wind up in the river, you know, with cement shoes. Right? But at the end of the day, one of the things that his son always said about his dad was that guy owned his emotions and he owned his confidence.
Wow.
And nothing shook this dude. You know, he was obviously, so back in the early 80s, after he started really getting big in the mafia world and really started to get control over everything, his neighbor hit his son driving a bicycle with his car and killed him.
Oh, man.
And again, the energy that you put out in life is the energy that you get back. So, you know, I don't think it's any coincidence that whatever higher being there is out there took his son from him, because he did quite a bit of damage, this guy, prior to that. But he would not show. Hundreds and thousands of people showed up at that funeral. And he stood there like a soldier and shook everybody's hand, and he did not show any sort of emotion whatsoever. And it wasn't until the funeral came and the burial, all of that was done a few days later, that he sat in front of his fireplace by himself and just wept. And the only person that saw him do it was his son. And so there was a time and place to share that emotion. But this point of the whole story was this: the dude was really, really secure with himself.
Yeah.
He commanded his presence. He commanded the respect. He commanded his emotions. And man, love or hate the guy, you know, very similar to Jordan Belfort. The guy made moves, and, you know, he was able to create this. He was the most surveillanced guy in the country for like 25 years.
Yeah. Well, it's cool that that's a good story to understand that you can definitely own your emotions regardless of what's going on around you, right? Yeah. And that's what I like to highlight in my clients, is that when you have the emotional fitness, or what I call, or like the emotional intelligence, you realize that your emotions don't come from your circumstances or your life events. They come from the thoughts you have about those events, right? And what you make it mean. And when you know that separation, it gives you power, because you can go forward with your business, or you know, if you're building your brand and something doesn't go right, or you have a mishap, or you do have a step back, judging by what you make that mean, you can keep that confidence.
Exactly.
If someone will come to me, and day in, day out, they'll say, this client said no, I've made X amount of cold calls, and I'm getting nothing but no's, I'm getting nothing but rejections, and my confidence is down. I'm like, man, that has nothing to do with your confidence. The fact you have the ability to go out there and make 50 calls with 50 no's shows me that you have the confidence to pick up the phone. Mm-hmm. It's just what you're making it mean.
That's right.
Where that understanding is coming from. And, you know, people can hear the confidence in your voice, because you've got very strong ties with who you are and what you're all about, and the service you're providing, and everything like that. And they can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
And that's
I tell you, Tyson, when that is what I think sells my brand the most, is that certainty. You know, I may not know all the answers up front, but when there's a will, there's a way. And, you know, I wasn't put on this earth to sort of skate by and sort of just make whatever is. And, you know, I hate when people say, well, it is what it is. I call bullshit on that every time. It is what you make it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a cop out, to be honest with you. And so I love what you're saying, because you're saying, what are those thoughts that come into your mind a million miles a minute, right? A million times a second, right? What are you making those thoughts mean to you? And is whatever you're asking yourself or telling yourself true?
Yeah.
And if it's not true, then what the hell are you getting all upset about it for? What the hell are you making it stop you or hold you back for? It's all garbage anyway. So you call it emotional fitness, I call it emotional muscle.
Yeah.
And if you don't build that muscle, if you don't take that muscle to the gym every day and put it under the bench and start pumping away, it's going to turn to mush.
Yeah, and that's what you bring up the topic of confidence. That's what a lot of people get some momentum once they start following through on their own word. And like you said, when you don't use that muscle, it gets weaker, right? And so if you want some quick tips here for your audience, is that
drop them.
If you don't have the ability to, if you don't think you're going to follow through on something, don't put it on your calendar for the day.
That's right.
Because when you're going forward with your confidence, it's about putting something on the calendar and following through, regardless of how you feel in the moment, regardless of what comes up, because you build an integrity with yourself.
That's right.
That goes beyond the task itself. It goes towards who you're becoming in terms of the business owner that you want to be.
Right.
That's what I've learned. How
good does it feel, Tyson, when you actually accomplish what it is that you say you're going to do?
That's right. Yeah. Oh man, when you go out there and something comes up that's tough, and you give it the meaning like, man, the more tough it is right now, the more confidence is up for grabs, right? And then people with that mindset, people with that thought that they believe, they have the confidence to follow through. They have the strength. They find it within themselves somehow.
Yeah.
When they know it's to do with their thoughts, and it's to do with their what really comes about is that a lot of people are trying to find confidence, but the metaphor I use is, how much confidence would you have in a friend that organizes a date with you every Monday, but they don't show up?
Right.
You lose confidence in that friend. You'll still love the friend, right? We're all good people, but you will lose confidence in that person. And yet we ask ourselves the question, where did my confidence come from? Where did it go? I'm not confident. I'm not a confident person. But then I ask, but look, you're not following through on anything that you say you're going to do. What do you think is going to happen to your confidence? But you can get that right back as soon as you start controlling your mind, understanding your emotions, right? Like the mafia dude, controlling your emotions, controlling who you are, knowing, the direction that you're going in, and starting to control the meanings that are around you, recognizing that it's not the circumstances or your life events that lead to your emotions, it's your thoughts about it.
That's it. Oh man, that's beautiful. It's funny. I'll share with you another quick little personal story. So, I have, for those of folks that are watching my journey and watch the podcast and listen to the podcast regularly, they know that I have a 10-month-old son, and 98% of the time, Tyson, we've been blessed with such a beautiful child. I mean, he really is just like a good baby. Like, I've heard horror stories of 10-month-old babies just being disasters, like just crying and not eating and just being ridiculous in public and like just craziness, right? We have a baby. We took him to a steakhouse, a high-end steakhouse on Saturday. And my wife was nervous. She was like, people spend a lot of money at this restaurant. Like, if he starts carrying on, we might have to leave, or, we might have to disrupt our dinner, and that's going to suck. And and I just said, we'll never know unless we try. But we go, and the kid was a gem. I mean, he sat there. Yeah, he sat there. He ate his bread and butter, and he had his hands folded, and the waiters and the waitresses were coming over going, this kid, where'd you find this kid? He's like a little gentleman over here. And I said, he's, we've been taking him out since he was 4 days old. So, he's used to this stuff. Point I'm trying to make is this. There are some times where he will try your patience. He'll just get into crying fits where something just isn't right, and he's got to cry it out for whatever reason. And I sit there and I try to hold him and try to just like comfort him as much as I can. But there's times where I feel the blood pressure go into a level where I know it's going to take me a while to get it back down. And I always say to myself out loud, I say, find me the patience. Find me the patience to help him.
Yeah.
And that just brings everything to zero.
Wow.
It brings everything back to zero, and at a managing level where I can make clear decisions, and you have to find it, is what it is that I hear you saying. You got to find that confidence within. It's not going to come from outside. And the way we get this from within, in my opinion, Tyson, is this. I think we need to look at it and say, what does our actions look like? What are the last 3 actions that we took that helped us get to what we want in life? Are they in line with our ambitions, or are they out of line with our ambitions? And I love the example you made with the person that sets dates with you every Monday but never shows up.
Yeah. Man, can I touch on something that you said just then? So a lot of things that my clients will say, a lot of insights that comes from when they come to me and they understand, all right, I need to make a shift, right? And what they really need to understand is that the quality of their action moving forward is the quality of the emotions that they feel, right? So when they are, a lot of people that are starting out their business that come to me and they're like, man, I need to move forward. They're coming from they want freedom and they want some more income, but they're feeling like they need it because they feel the lack of it, right? And that when you feel the lack of it, you have that lack of internal resourcefulness to solve the challenges that it takes to get to where you want to go. So when they feel the lack of money, they feel the lack of status, they feel the lack of freedom, they don't have the capabilities that are showing up to solve those challenges. So that's the real key that in terms of my coaching. But what you have highlighted just then in your story is your ability to say, what do I need in this moment? What I need is patience, right? What I need is I need the patience from within. And not only that, but I need the patience for him. So you're not only finding the emotion that you need and it's coming from within, but you're using it to serve.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me in the least that's what calms you down. That's what allows you to go from that red line down to something of a more manageable level. Yeah. And I think everyone can use that strategy. And that's what my tools and tactics are all about, is building that emotional resourcefulness, building that emotional muscle. Yeah. But it's gaining the awareness that if you're to get from one level and to achieve your goals, you need to it's almost like you trying to get to a destination in a car, but you can't get there because you don't have any gas. Right?
Sure.
A lot of people are trying to get their business results, but they don't have any gas in terms of their emotional resourcefulness, in terms of the emotions that are building within them and using their best self. And they're like, when I get the result, then I'll be happy, then I'll be determined, then I'll be passionate. And it doesn't work like that. You need to be that way now so that you can get there. You need to fuel your car. You need to put the gas in your car so that you can get there. And that's what you've done. You're like, I need to put my patience within me. I need to build the patience, find that patience so that I can serve this child. And then you can get to that result.
Let me warn the listeners and the viewers that sometimes you're going to get to a point in life where you're going to get to a decision that you're going to have to make that's going to feel a little weird. It's going to feel like, how do I say this? It's going to feel like you're being arrogant, or you're being selfish, or you're being like you're not being thoughtful or any of those things, right? And I have to tell you, you have to push through that and make the damn decision, whether you like it or not. And, there's going to be decisions that I'm going to have to make in the future that are going to be tough decisions, but I'm going to have to make them because people are looking for me and that confidence in me to make those decisions. I'll give you a quick example. When my father's a very big man, it's funny because I'm only like 5'7" and he's like 6'2", right? So it's so funny. But, one of the things that I pride my dad on, he was a big negotiator for the laborers union that he was part of when he was working. And he would go into big negotiations between United Parcel Service, UPS, and the labor union that they work with, right? And he would make decisions on behalf of the union. And they would ask him, they would try to challenge him and ask him, why are you making that decision? And he's said, he had a couple different answers, but the one answer is because my brothers agree with it, because it was the Teamsters union, right? So the team brotherhood of the Teamsters, right? And then when he would make certain decisions at home, I would challenge him and say, why? And he would say, because I said so. That was it. And that was it. And that shows a lot of confidence. That shows a lot of like straightforward thinking, sometimes you're going to feel like it's selfish or an arrogant statement or an arrogant decision or whatever that is. And I'm going to tell you, that's all in your head. That's just a thought, like you just mentioned, and is it really? Or did you just make that decision because it needed to be made and it's in the best interest of whoever's involved?
Yeah.
Like what you said, when you take yourself out of the equation and you look at it from the other person's perspective, or you look at it in the interest of the person involved, it's a different story. Dante's going to come home one day and ask me to do something ridiculous, and I'm going to have to tell him no. And he's going to say, why? And I'm going to have to just say, because I said so.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear another word about it. That's what's going to deliver that authority, that leadership, all of those things that are going to make for a great father, a great CEO, a great leader, a great brand ambassador, whatever those things are. But it's going to be tough. You're going to have to make tough decisions, and you just have to know that your gut is 99.999% right at all times, and you just got to go with it and know that it's in the best interest for you to make that decision for that person or for that thing to make it all happen. So we got to wrap up, dude. I didn't realize I said 20 minutes offline, and now we went almost an hour, for crying out loud. But for those folks, Tyson, that want to learn a little bit more about what you do, where can we find you?
So you can easily go to my website, www.tysoncoaching.com. All my links will be there. I've got a Facebook group. I've got a few free resources, all that different thing. Even if you just want to jump on there and reach out to me if you have any questions. Obviously I come on these podcasts and I love serving. I love getting on here and explaining what's going on in people's heads and help them have those shifts. So I highly appreciate you having me on here and giving me this platform and having a great conversation. I love hearing more about you. I love your stories, and I'll definitely be following more of you, man.
I appreciate it, Tyson. I appreciate you reaching out and just connecting with me on Facebook. I mean, here's a guy, guys, that cold turkey reaches out to me on Facebook and says, hey, saw your profile, watched a couple videos, saw a couple posts. I really like your energy. Here's what I do. If there's anything that I can do to help serve you or your audience, I listened to a few of your podcasts and I said, dude, I think you need to come on the show because I like what it is that you're saying. And I like that you're out there trying to help online entrepreneurs like myself, get through those bottlenecks and help create bigger, better, businesses and brands for themselves. So, that was a ballsy move. Not a lot of people would do it. But you did, and look what happened. You got on the podcast, and who the hell knows? We might do business in the future. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, that's a crazy world we live in these days where everyone's connected, and unless you start really reaching out and taking some opportunities, you never know what's going to come about. That's what I love about it.
You never know. And so that's why I tell everybody out that's listening and watching, you make your own luck. You make your own rules. You make your own opportunities. And so I have to push you guys sometimes because I feel like you get lazy, not lazy, but you just get comfortable. And nothing great comes when you're comfortable. I'm sorry. My biggest accomplishment is when somebody told me that I sucked and that I needed to do something else or else I'd be out of business. And that made me really uncomfortable. So anyway, guys, I hope you got some value out of this episode. This one was a little bit longer, but there was a lot of nuggets. And so pull the ones out that are going to help you today and apply them and actually do some of the stuff that we were saying. Because I promise you, on the other side of the fence, you will see a tremendous shift in your brand and your branding and your business, the way clients even communicate with you and align with you. That you've never seen before, but you have to take action or else you'll never see it. So there you have it, guys. Another episode in the books. Hope you got at least one piece of value out of this. And if you did, I want you to subscribe to the to the podcast on iTunes. I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Again, you'll be able to see these videos that we highly produce and really put some impact behind. If you haven't written any reviews yet for my podcast and you feel that it's necessary to do so to help make the podcast better or to enjoy it and to give us some props, dude, drop it down. It's the fuel that makes this podcast what it is today. So I highly encourage you guys to do that. And I appreciate it. And thank you in advance for that. And that's it. That's all I got for you. So have an amazing day, guys. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Talk soon.